Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 10 of Wake Up with Giants Radio. We are here just now on social media before we go live on accessradio.ca/country-music. And we're going to start off this recording with our centering. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to get comfortable. We're going to take 3 deep breaths, breathing in and out. In and out, in and out. And I'll start us off here. I show up as a powerful leader today. I show up with strength and confidence and the knowledge to help all of those listening to be a powerful giant in this topic, to affect 100 million lives, but be here just for one. I show up to be in service today. Nicole?
Today I am present. Today I am calm. Today I am going with flow. Today I am impacting 100 million lives. Today I am a giant. Today I am speaking from my heart center. Today I am calling in my guides, my ancestors to be with me, to have the courage and the strength to say what's coming from my heart.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, today I'm present with it being however it is. So to go with the flow, just enjoy the ride. So I am here, I'm present.
Beautiful, thank you.
Welcome.
All right, friends on social media, today we're going to be talking about micro-stepping and the importance of making those micro steps and the importance of what I like to call micro-shifting as well, or pivoting. We have a couple minutes here before we go live on the radio. So please do let us know that you're here in the comments. Ask any questions that you'd like to ask in the comment section there. If you would like, you could join us on the radio station as well. We're in the chat on the radio station. If you don't have the ability to be at your computer, you can listen in on www.accessradio.ca/country-music. And if you haven't gone to our YouTube channel yet, please do go to the YouTube channel, Giants and the Smalls, like it, subscribe to it. It will let you know when any of our new videos are available. Check it out. You'll see all of our Wake Up with Giants radio. You'll see Wake Up with Giants TV. I believe you'll see all of the daily videos that Nick and Ryan do as well there. Lots of content.
I see Hugh's comment there on a hat. I don't have a hat, but I'll wear a mask as a hat. How's that?
Oh, I totally forgot that, Hugh.
Does that look good?
You look like
I think I'm going to start a new trend.
Oh, you look like you just came from Mennonite country.
I'm going to go milk a cow. Give me a minute. Yeah. Hey, check it out. I like it. I like
Very
it.
Cool.
That's how giants milk cows.
Yeah.
I love it.
They just take the whole cow.
I love it.
Squeeze it in. Was that good for a hat, Hugh?
My kids were really upset when they saw that T-shirt didn't come in children's sizes. They wanted that cow one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they thought that was cool.
We could create it. We are powerful creators.
We are.
See my green screen at the top of my screen a little bit, but
I don't see it here. Yeah, you're good.
Tuck it down a little.
Hugh, tell us what kind of hats you'd like to see. Shoot that there in the comments. Next week we'll endeavor to wear those hats for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep Papa's hat on my desk just for sentimental reasons, good positive energy, knowing that he's here with me.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
My thinking cap.
Perfect.
Yeah, I love it.
We got Seahawks hat.
I have a beanie. My son's a Seahawks fan.
All right. Okay, I'm going to go live on the radio. We're going to play our intro. So we've just got about 30 seconds there of intro on the radio. I see both Ryan and Hugh in the comments there. Welcome.
Giant hats.
Get them printed.
Hello, and welcome to episode 10 of Wake Up with Giants Radio. I'm so excited for you to be here with us today. This is Lady Luck, and I am joined in studio today by Nicole Kola, the RPG, and Nick, the Gentle Giant. And today, our topic is why micro steps are important and how to pivot. And coincidentally, I think on Wake Up with Giants TV today, we were talking about pivoting. Nick and Ryan were talking with their guest today about pivoting. I thought that was great alignment for today. That the topics were brought together and similar. So I'm going to start us off here talking about micro steps and what that means. It's funny. I researched the definition of microsteps today, and it gave me a very mechanical definition about gears and cogs and all of that. And when we're talking about microsteps in this way and on Wake Up with Giants Radio and in coaching in a general way, we what we mean by microsteps and micro shifting is small. Taking those small steps. So I know when we talk about action, we talk about giant action as the League of Giants. We talk about taking that giant action all of the time. But giant action doesn't always have to be giant in nature. Sometimes it can be small. It could be micro. We can take those little steps as long as we keep consistency with those micro steps. What does that bring up for you, Nick or Nicole?
Yeah, I'll go. The thing with it, with any step, is that it's all about capacity, that you step within your capacity. And so if you're not able to take giant steps because you haven't built up that capacity, then it's okay. It's always a small step, even for giants. And so small steps is just incremental. It just means that you do a little bit here and there every day towards your goals, and it's enough to create just about anything you want in life. And so that's how I see it. Nicole, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that with the small steps, and that's the thing is I get really small with my clients. So they want to start waking up early in the morning. I took that on this last week, and I start with just 15 minutes. Just get up 15 minutes earlier and keep that up consistently for a week and see how it changes your life. It also reminds me of my course when I was going through Health Coach Institute. They did one small step for every single module that we would do. And it was like a meme that you would post on Facebook. So it was really cool because they would give you that one small step just to post that. And then by the end, when you've, gotten all the way through your course, you had already built up like a social media following. Like it was just really cool to see the result of just that one step, every time you complete something, that one small step and the big impact that it had in the end.
Interesting is when you know the path and you can see the path clearly, you tend to take bigger steps and you go faster down that path because it's already been paved. And so for most of us, as we're stepping out onto an uncertain path, it's just like in life. If you can't see, you step cautiously. And so as you step, you tend to take smaller steps. You tend to feel your way around. And then as you feel security and stability in it, then you step fully into it and you do that again and again. And then as the path clarifies, then you take longer and faster steps. That makes sense.
Yeah, as you grow and you learn. I love that. And I love that we have this question already from Hugh. It says, do the steps have to be forward to get benefits? And the reason why I love that question is because it brings us into pivoting and micro shifting. So
Yeah.
sometimes we don't always take a forward step. Sometimes we take a step backwards because we've been met with resistance, or we've been met with fear. We've been met with anxiety, maybe something that's getting in our way. So sometimes we take that backward step, and what we need to do is we need to take a micro shift, or we need to pivot. And what's really the definition of pivot? We see it in basketball. We see basketball players where they pivot on one foot because they're protecting their ball, right? So pivot is just that one central place, that it's that one central thing that something depends on. It's that pin that something depends on. So if we're meeting resistance and we took that step backwards, then maybe we just need to pivot to be able to move forward in a different way, and away from that resistance and away from that thing that's in front of us. Thank you.
Just like a detour, right? You're driving down the highway and you've got a plan to be somewhere. You're going to a certain city and you're coming down the highway and there's construction. And so you don't give up and go home. You just pivot. You take the detour, you get off the freeway, or you go on another highway that you didn't expect, and you try that out. And then sometimes you loop back to the same highway. Sometimes you stay off of it. And so it's that ability to step off the path you had in mind when something gets in the way of your dream or vision. It's to find another way.
Yeah, absolutely. And, sometimes, so when we talk about pivoting, when we're taking those small steps, and we talk about pivoting because we've been met with that resistance, sometimes we actually micro shift. And it's different than pivoting. Sometimes we micro shift on purpose. Sometimes we get into such a place of consistency or stability or comfort that we need to actually micro shift to move out of that comfort zone and move forward, because we're in a stagnant place, right? We're still moving forward. We're taking those steps. And as soon as we become stagnant, we actually have to force ourselves to micro shift. And some people might call that a pivot as well, but I call that a micro shift, where I tweak one little thing, one tiny little thing. I change that one tiny little thing to bring me out of my comfort zone so that I can continue. I've come out of that stagnant place and I can continue forward. What does that bring up for you guys?
Man, for me, I think of the energy of the brain and body. It's all about conserving energy. And so about 20% of your energy is consumed by your brain. And that's a lot. And so if there's a shift that has to occur and it's too severe, then your brain's going to say, I'm going into shutdown mode. You're overloading the circuits and I'm not going to do that. And so sometimes, we take a look at that and we stop and we don't do anything with it. And then we build our house there in that place of stagnation and we don't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so the whole purpose of pausing or stepping back isn't to build your house there. It's to pause. That's essentially it. And then micro step out of it, because those micro steps, like Ryan mentioned in the comments, it conserves energy. You have less anxiety around it when you do a micro step. I can do one tiny thing today. In that action, it builds momentum and you're able to move forward and do bigger things as you build in capacity to do bigger things.
Absolutely. We can all do anything as long as we see an end to it, right? Yeah. So if I take on this big giant thing and I look at it and I say, oh my goodness, this is going to take me, sometimes it's even a new job that comes up for me. If I look at that and say, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to be at this job for the next 25 years. How am I going to sit here for 25 years, right? Yeah. And some people look at that. But if that job is only, say, 6 months, yeah. I can look at that and say, okay, I can do this for 6 months, or I can do this for 1 week, or I can do this one little micro step today, yeah. and the next day, and the next day, because it gives yourself that sense. It's going to bring us to celebration. I love celebration. It brings us to that feeling of celebration, that feeling of accomplishment, right? And yeah. So if we have these giant steps that we want to take, and it's prolonged, and it's going to take weeks and weeks to take one even step, right? Yeah. Or we have these small little steps and I can do them every day. I can take those small little steps every day. Every day, your brain is going to have that feeling of accomplishment, and you're going to be able to celebrate that accomplishment every single day, rather than a week from now or 2 weeks from now, waiting for that celebration and waiting for that adrenaline rush that accomplishment gives you.
There was a post today that I saw. It says the universe hates uncertainty. And I think what happened here is somebody put human characteristics on the universe, because humans hate uncertainty. Mm-hmm. And so we're the ones that don't like to step into the unknown. We want to know for sure what's going to happen. And so we create hesitation around that and resistance to any kind of change, positive or negative, because of the uncertainty. And so what this does, it allows us to step into the uncertainty cautiously, like we might do, but then we build trust as we have wins. So like you talked about the celebration, as you create small wins, then you start to anchor into your body and your mind, look, we're okay. And you start to trust and you feel comfortable. But if you go after it and it's really hard and you're giving it all you got and it fails, then you've just taught yourself that your actions don't matter. And you anchor that in. That also becomes a win, but in the wrong direction.
Absolutely. It becomes an anchor in the wrong direction. And I think one of the hardest parts, I love that you use the word trust. One of the hardest parts for us as human beings is to trust that the universe has us, to trust that the universe is knowing and is going to give us what we need and keep us on our path. The hardest thing is to trust that it's all going to work out, because we have those negative anchors that we've anchored in already that say, no, it's not going to work out. We've got that talk inside our head, that chatter inside our head saying, no, you did this before and it's not going to work. Or so-and-so did it and it's not going to work.
What if it wasn't negative? What if it was just an anchor? Like, it's not negative or positive. It's just an anchor. And I picture mountain climbing, that if your ego was your anchor and you were climbing a mountain and you'd never climbed mountains before, you would want to have anchors to not fall all the way back down the mountain.
Absolutely.
And so what ego does is it's your bag of anchors. It's your life lessons that you plug into that cliff to hold you in place so you don't go backward. And so I imagine, like, people have this conversation around ego being positive or negative. It's really just an anchor. It's to support you so that you don't go too far in the wrong direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just need to make sure that we use them in that way, that we see our anchors in that way and use them in that way instead of moving to negativity and fear and anxiety around those things, right?
Yeah.
We're just laughing at, we have a comment here. Hugh has said certainty is boring. And Ryan agrees.
So Nicole, I'm wondering, in what you do with your work, when somebody anchors in a win, or a new behavior, how does that look for them? Like, how do they go about doing that? And, we're talking about micro steps, but how do they anchor it in?
Yeah, so I actually have them physically have anchors in their environment. I know that Ryan has like the red marble. So physical anchors to remind you in your space. And I do a lot of celebration. It's a part of every single, if you come on as a client with me, we celebrate every single time we have a session. And so it's, I focus on really little things. People, I can't get up to go to the gym. First, we start with being able to get up at that time. Then I tell them, just put your shoes out, so we celebrate waking up at that time. And all they have to do is set their alarm and wake up. And then it's like putting your shoes and your clothes out and waking up in the morning, putting on your shoes and your clothes, and you don't work out, but you got to that point where you have your shoes and your workout clothes on. And then we work getting out to the street where you're going to go do your run. So I want to say we journal it out. So we write it down to anchor it in, dance.
Yeah.
Or, have that happy feeling. Like I had a client that hit me up this last week. Her husband was out of town, and she's like, it put her in a different space of things that she didn't see in herself before. And I was like, write that down, write it down. And then when things are hard, go back and read it again so that you get to remember how awesome it felt for you to accomplish what you felt by doing this new behavior.
So I want to hit on that, because sometimes you got to remove the old anchor. So for you to progress, you've got to pull the old anchor out. And that's where ego fights you. It's like, hey, we've got some stability and security here, even in the unknown and even in the painful. At least we know what to expect. So let's just stay here. And that keeps you from moving forward. So you got to yank that out in a way, yank that anchor and move forward anyway, and then re-anchor somewhere else. And when you take micro steps, it makes it easier for ego to come along, because then you're not fighting your ego and your resistance. You're moving along incrementally in a way that allows you to move forward and grow in capacity, like we talked about. So I like that.
Yeah, and I really want to go back and highlight what Nicole said. I want to highlight the steps that she went through, because those are micro steps. Nobody's asking you to get up and go to the gym in the morning and all of a sudden tomorrow morning do it. I'm asking you, or Nicole is asking you, to set your alarm first. Then get up and put the workout clothes on. Then the next time, maybe put the running shoes on. Set your bag by the door. That's the importance of having that micro step. Okay, I got up from my alarm today. I can celebrate that. I have that win, right? And I remember sending messages to Nicole saying, well, I got the workout clothes on today. I didn't quite make it to the workout, but the clothes are on, and we celebrated that. And so that's a prime example of taking those micro steps. They don't have to be big. You don't have to. Okay, maybe your end goal is to actually make it to the workout, make it to the gym, make it to that run outside, wherever it is. But they don't have to be huge steps. You can break them down in that way, and you can pivot. So what happens? What if in that whole 5 days, the 5-day week, Monday to Friday, I only got up to that alarm 2 out of the 5 days? Okay, let's evaluate. We can celebrate that I got up 2 of those days out of the 5. Let's evaluate where I need to pivot or where I need to shift in order to change that. Was it a habit the night before? Was I up late? Was I watching TV? Did I not sleep well? Let's figure out why that was, so that we can micro shift or we can pivot.
Yeah, I like the pause here, because it gives us time to think. We were talking this morning in the TV show about the power of grief after a pivot. Like, a pivot can be a moment in your life that awakens you to another possibility. And so it's any type of questioning, like you asked, what is it that I'm doing that's creating this outcome? That is an opportunity to pivot. But after the pivot, there's a sense of loss of the old way of being, and to grieve that loss and to allow space for a space to be created actually gives you room to move into something different. It could also go in the other direction. If you're extinguishing a behavior, you would want to make it harder to access versus easy to access. And so you're going to set yourself up for success. But giving grace and gratitude to the loss and then moving into the new thing, I think, is vital. It's and I don't even know where I was going to go with that completely, but it took us off on a tangent. It was a filler for a minute.
Yeah, it did. And so we have another question here. We can go over to that. Hugh is asking, are these small steps or giant steps? So I think that these micro steps are small steps that we're taking by being in giant action. So we can be in a place of giant action and have the intention of giant action and moving towards giant things, but be taking those micro steps in order to fulfill that giant action and reach those giant goals. So I want to clarify that. Thank you for that question, Hugh.
Well, I want to dive deeper on that. Any action is giant.
Yeah.
The steps might be small, but any action is giant, because it takes you toward that vision that you have. But inaction, the lack of action, is where there is no growth, which is also a choice. You can choose to do nothing and your life will stay the same as it is. And a lot of people choose to do that, and they live out their life completely the same all the way through. Consistency. And that's good for them. I prefer to continue to grow as often, as frequently as I can, which means there's going to be some discomfort in that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people stay there and choose not to take action because of that discomfort, right? Or because that they are not clear on how to take those little micro steps. It can be overwhelming looking at that, right? And if you don't have mentors or anyone beside you telling you, look, I did it, it's okay. You're okay. And I've been there. Look, you can see it. Like, you can see where I've been, and you can see that it's okay and it's safe to go there. And lots of people don't have people like that in their lives. And lots of people sit in fear of that giant step, that big thing that they need to do. They're not aware that they can take micro steps.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the show I Shouldn't Be Alive? You ever watched
it?
No. Really, you have seen it?
I think I have. Isn't it the stories of people that have passed away, or
they're close to passing away? Like they have accidents or something that happens, and they talk about just making it to the next marker, whatever that is, or to the next post. And sometimes when life gets really heavy And all you can do is make it to the next mile marker, the next post, the next thing on, that you can spot. You set these micro goals and then you accomplish that. And then when you get to that one, you set another one. And that's how they survive. They actually would live by having these micro goals, these micro visions. And it's all about capacity. If you're in a space where you're just in survival mode and you can create a small goal to get you just one step further than where you are, you've actually grown in capacity. And then that leads to doing another goal that's just slightly bigger and you can grow in capacity. It's giants take small steps. They're just bigger in capacity. Some of these people that you see out there changing the world, they're still taking small steps in their world, but they've grown so much in their ability to do it that it just seems giant to us. But still micro goals, right? Micro steps.
Yeah, and I absolutely love that you said that. That brought me back to my time of healing. I remember, for our listeners and our viewers, I'll remind you that I had postpartum depression, severe anxiety back in 2011 when my daughter was born, to the point where I could not be in the same room with my daughter. If she cried, I had to leave the room. I would go into a full-on panic attack. And for the first 6 months of her life, I really did not have a hand in raising her. My mom and my ex-husband raised her for that first 6 months while I was in therapy and trying to take those steps and trying to be able to be in the same room with her. And I remember sitting down with my yoga instructor, God bless him. His name is Bert. I've been with him for, 20 years now. Yeah, 2020 was when I started with him. 20 years I've been with him. And I remember sitting down after a yoga class, everybody had gone. I sat down on the stairs and I just looked at him and I said, I'm so lost. I don't know what to do. I don't know where I am. I don't know where to head. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just lost. And he said, well, you're just going to take the next step. And I was so frustrated. I remember that frustrated feeling. I'm like, what do you mean? What's the next step? I don't know what the next step is. Why are you telling me to take the next step? I don't know what that is. I said, I'm just so lost. And he said, well, you're going to get up. You're going to walk away from me and you're going to walk to your car and you're going to get in your car and then you're going to drive home and then you're going to kiss your kids goodnight and you're going to go to bed, and tomorrow morning you're going to wake up and you're going to take the next step, just the next thing that's in front of you every single day. You're going to get up, you're going to shower, you're going to eat breakfast, and just keep taking that next step. And at the time, I was so frustrated and overwhelmed by that because I just wanted all of the answers. I just wanted him to give me everything, right? And as I healed and as I grew, I saw how profound that was. And I tell people that now, just take the next step. And what he was saying to me was micro steps. They don't have to be big.
Yeah.
Just showing up.
So Princess Bride, remember that movie?
Yeah.
When he's dead and they revive him and the giant looks at him, he said, you moved your finger. Doesn't that make you happy? And that's kind of the little thing. It's like little wins like that. You moved your finger. It's in life. I mean, regardless of where you are in capacity, there's always a level of uncertainty. And so stepping into that, just one more step, I can do that. I can do one more thing today. I don't know how it's going to turn out. And then letting go of the outcome. What if you took that step and you fell? Would you give up? I mean, kids show us consistently how not to give up. So they'll stumble and fumble. They'll poop themselves. They'll put food all over themselves and they don't care. They just keep going. And then somewhere along the line, we learned that it was wrong to have failures like that or to not be perfect at something. We learned that you had to be flawless when you acted. And that keeps us from acting. Yeah, Nicole, what came up there?
It's just learning new things. So for me, it's like wanting to be perfect. So I'm going to tell the story.
Yeah, awesome.
But my husband was like, if you just knew how to golf, you would just be like the perfect, woman. So I'm like, I've had this resentment towards golf. And then last week I literally went to Top Golf and I had one of my friends, my best friend's little girl, I consider her my niece. And I was like, okay, girl, you got to teach me how to hit this ball. And I hit the ball and I was not perfect, but I was like, and I would really have loved to just be like, I'm perfect at golf. Like, I'm so good at golf, right?
Yeah.
I sucked, but I hit the ball. I didn't miss the ball, but I hit it. So
Yeah.
it's like being able to suck at something long enough and being in that discomfort. And I just felt like the anxiety and like I felt myself getting red. I'm like, my nieces are gonna laugh so hard when I
I've hit
hear
the
this.
ball sometimes where it actually goes behind me. Like how does it go behind you when you're swinging forward? Somehow I do it.
Oh my gosh. It's just funny too. But then the gun range, I was the same way at the gun range, you know?
Yeah.
And then after 4 years of going now, like I was so uncomfortable, had so much anxiety. So I'm like, okay, now golf is my new gun range. Like I just have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable at golf for 4 years. And then
Wow. Yeah. Be comfortable in the uncomfortable. And let's redefine perfection, because the word means to perform and to complete. Go look it up. Go look at the etymology of this word. It's to perform and to complete. So if you're doing something and you're finishing it, you're actually doing it perfectly. And so to be uncomfortable you're comfortable in the uncomfortable is being out there performing and following through. And so in that, you're going to have growth. But if it has to be optimal or it has to be flawless, you're going to spend a lot of time chiseling and fine tuning and, buffing. And you're not going to be in action in the things that could make you grow.
Yep. Yeah.
And
back a lot, wanting to be perfect. And so just not doing anything because if I can't be perfect at it, then why? Right.
Yeah. And I love that. And I love what both of you said. I love that Nicole said wanting to be perfect at something. And I also love that Nick talked about kids and talked about them getting messy and dirty and being in diapers. Yeah. Because that takes me back to another story from my illness. I had gastrointestinal issues going on at the same time, and I couldn't eat anything. There was nothing I could eat that was staying in. And I was so sick that I was in bed for 6 months. I didn't get out of bed. But when I had to start getting out of bed, I couldn't be far away from a bathroom. Everything was going right through me. And I was having accidents all over the place. And it came time for us to have a baptism for my daughter. And I couldn't eat anything. So I went, and my family helped me plan this whole huge, think of Italian baptism, okay? This whole huge Italian meal. And, my dad took me to get it all planned out with the restaurant who was catering it. My whole family pitched in and decorated the hall. The priest came to my house to figure out the ceremony and what it was going to look like, because I was too sick to go anywhere. And, I remember, I think my mom might have, gone out and bought me a new blouse to wear so that I kind of, felt pretty while I was going through all of it. And the most terrifying thing for me was that I was going to have to stand there for an hour on the altar away from a bathroom. And I remember crying and having this discussion with my mom. She was begging me to wear Depends, to wear adult diapers. And she said, I promise you're going to be okay. It'll be fine. Nobody's going to know. And it was this image of perfectionism. I wasn't perfect. Like Nicole said, I wanted to be perfect. And it felt imperfect to be relying on that. And I did it. And thank God I had them on. I had an accident, and I drank maybe 3 sips of Gatorade through the whole day because I was so terrified to put anything into my body because I thought it was going to go straight through me. And it was an absolutely beautiful day, beautiful celebration of her. But that idea of, even though nobody knew, that idea inside of me of not being perfect and not having it perfectly go as I need it to be was terrifying. And as an adult, I had to relearn to be okay with the diapers and the poop and whatever it looked like, that imperfectness.
Yeah. So I think about this. I hear this. Give grace to the former versions of yourself that led you to be who you are today. That kid who was me learning how to eat now allows me to go out to a restaurant without embarrassing myself.
Yeah.
Right. In a way, I can go sit there and eat anywhere and be with anybody and not have to worry about it, because that former version of me created a platform for me to be where I am today in every degree. So I wouldn't be who I am today without former versions of myself. And I'm also laying the foundation for future versions of myself that aren't yet here. And so if I stop right here, going back to the polishing and the perfection, when you're perfecting, you're done with the work. You're like, I'm done. I'm going to shine this up, polish it up, and put it on a shelf. No more action for me. That's perfection. Like, I've hit the pinnacle, guys. Sorry, I'm going to plant a flag right here and I'm done. Right? So if you're polishing, you're done. Like, never start polishing. Man, I think of, in terms of movies today, Surf's Up. I think of Tank, the surfer, polishing his trophies. Like, he's made it, but in your life, you don't want to ever end up there. I mean, really push yourself. What else can you accomplish? There's always another mountain. There's always something else to climb.
Absolutely. And on that note, and in that pause, I'm going to take us to a commercial break.
Yeah.
For a couple of moments. All right. For all of our friends on social media, we've got a 2-minute break here on the radio. And Hugh says, even perfection can be improved. Yeah, I don't ever want to reach perfection. Honestly, I have lots of people say, "Oh, you sound like the perfect woman," and my answer to that is, I'm not perfect, and I don't ever want to reach perfectionism, because it means I'm not growing anymore. I'm not striving to get anywhere anymore.
Yeah, it could be easy to say, "Yeah, you're right. I made it. I am the model of perfection." Yeah, this is how you should model your life.
Yeah.
I look at my life and I'm like, holy shit, I wouldn't stop there.
No, it actually, it bothers me when people say that to me, because I'm like, no, nobody's perfect. I'm still growing. I'm still working here.
Yeah. Ryan.
I see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta pay the bills.
Well, at least we know what we're doing. It's by choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, as we dive back in, as we go into using that as a pivot, if we're never at the pinnacle, then there's always an opportunity to pivot. And so always a chance to change.
Absolutely.
Change, like transmute, to go above.
Yeah. But I mean, I like the idea of change too. I like the pivot where you need to pivot because you've hit some block. But then I also like that micro shift where we're causing ourselves to come out of the stagnant, right?
Yeah.
And I like both of those concepts and how they work together. They can come together, but they both have their own end goal. I'm just watching a commercial here.
You're good. When we start, I like what Hugh said here. Can we start on that with the 4-minute mile? I've got some.
Hello and welcome back to episode 10 of Wake Up with Giants Radio. And if you're just joining us now, today we're talking about why micro steps are important and how to pivot. And I'm joined here in studio by Nicole, Cola the RPG, and Nick, the Gentle Giant. And we're going to move back into our discussion. I believe Nick saw something in the comments there that he's going to read for us and bring us back in.
Yeah, if you can pull it up. The perfect time for running a mile was 4 minutes. Once achieved and perfect, it became the goal to make faster. So if you think about this, is Roger Bannister that hit the 4-minute mile. It took almost 100 years for somebody to break the 4-minute mile. And in the past 70 years, I think is how long it's been since that was broken, and maybe correct me on that, it's only been reduced by 17 seconds, which means that there's a point where it becomes incremental. That the 4-minute mile was a huge break. And then there were just micro shifts in performance down to where we shaved a complete 17 seconds off of the 4-minute mile. And that's the max right now. The record, I think, is right around 17 seconds lower than what it was, which is still incredibly fast. But it wasn't like, oh, we hit 4 minutes, let's go for a 1-minute mile. Like, that doesn't happen. Sometimes you get to a point where performance becomes so efficient that it's micro changes that occur in your life. You'll close the gap, huge gap that's closed. And then from there, it's incremental improvements in your life. And that's where it's important to remember, like, you might take a small step that creates a huge change in your life, but to expect it to make huge changes every time you take it puts you in a state where if that doesn't happen, you give up on improving. So to remember that you're going to have a closing of the gap and then incremental improvements allows you to take it as far as it can. Brian brought up the Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah.
I love a Rubik's Cube. So I got one here and I know how to solve it. And it takes me about 2 minutes to solve the Rubik's Cube, a little less than 2 minutes.
Wow.
But I think the quickest time by a human is right around 3.5 seconds to solve the cube. And we live in a time where you can learn from others who have done it and improve your speed on this, where you can do it in 3.5 seconds. A computer, or I think a robot, can do it in 1.5 seconds. So just because of the dexterity of the robot. But there's always improvement. There's always more that you can do to take it just a little bit further, but don't expect big gaps, big changes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that concept, and I love that those things strive us to push ourselves out of that stagnant place. Like, what if someone just said, "Okay, that's the best that can be done. That 4-minute mile, that's the best that can be done." And what if nobody ever strove to break that? Right?
Yeah.
What if we just accepted that and said, "Okay, 4 minutes is the best. It's never going to get any better."
Yeah,
what if we just step back?
Who writes that down? Hey guys, actually, when it came to patents, somebody in the patent office said that all of the best inventions have already been discovered. Nothing better will come. And this was back in the 1800s. And this was a recorded statement by somebody in the patent office. All of the best ideas are already here. Nothing better is coming. And if we would have stopped right there, think about that. Holy crap, Elon Musk wouldn't be around.
I know.
Right?
Yeah. I don't think anything's stopping that man. Nothing. And that's the thing too. I think about with my Lyme disease, I thought for a while they thought I was going to be in a wheelchair and I wasn't going to be able to walk. And like, this is just what I have to accept. And I was like, no, Nicole's still doing stairs, hiding that I'm doing stairs on my work break so that I can keep some movement in my legs. Right.
Yeah,
but it was one of those things that was like, you're probably going to be in a wheelchair. You're probably not going to walk. And I was like, let's see how true that rings. Right. Not accepting it. I refuse to accept it. My body's changed, but I was like, I'm still going to be able to walk. I'm still going to be able to lift heavy things.
Yeah. I love all the trigger words that Ryan's throwing in.
I know. I can't hard to keep it up with them.
Yeah.
Ryan the lion.
He was talking about cake. What's going on with baking stuff? Today on the TV, it was pancakes. Now it's cake.
Yeah.
Making me hungry everywhere.
I'm hungry. I could eat. Maybe I'll take one small step towards some food after this show. Well, I want to hit on some of these points. So Ryan's hitting on Einstein's brain. He's hitting on neurons. He's hitting on the billionth of energy coming from the sun. So Einstein's brain, for example, his neurons in his brain were the same as yours and mine. No difference. And so same number of neurons. What was different is he had more glial cells. I don't, you say it however you want, but they're glue cells that hold everything together. Usually 2 to 3 times that number in your brain compared to neurons, because they support everything. And so what he did is he built his neocortex and his hippocampi, there's 2 of them, to such a degree that when it came to processing and thinking through things, he had more to draw from. So same brain, same ability, same potential as all of us, but filled it with something different to a degree that when he drew from it, he could draw amazing things, including the theory of relativity. In our lives, what we think is, I could never be an Einstein. Well, the truth is that is available to you, but you're not taking the daily actions that would create the increase in glial cells in your neocortex and hippocampi. You're not doing the things that would increase learning. They did a study with London cab drivers and bus drivers, and they studied the hippocampi of the 2, and they found that the cab driver's hippocampus was huge compared to the bus driver. And it's because the bus driver followed the same path every day, and the cab driver had to find a new path every moment. And so to do that, they had to build up their memory of the entire area and then play with it. And so that's the thing, is when you tell yourself you can't, you automatically step into the space of not being able to. And so you're creating a limitation on yourself. When you say you can, and then, like you said, Nicole, you take a little micro step toward it, well, that builds on itself. It compounds. And all of a sudden you got a huge ass brain. And I don't know if I just said that on radio. Sorry. Too late. Beep it out.
Beep that one out.
Yeah.
Beep it out. Oh no, and I love where this is going. I love all of that. And that was bringing me to something too, and I just lost it. It was, I know what it was bringing me. It was bringing me to the rowboat. We talked about this before, the rowboat, and there was this rowing team, that wasn't winning any of their regattas. Okay, and so they were all down on themselves, and the coach came to them and started asking them the question, or started to have them ask themselves the question: is this rowing the boat? Is this helping to row the boat? So when they sat down in front of Netflix, they're asking themselves this question: is this helping to row the boat? When they're in the gym, is this helping to row the boat? And I thought that was so profound, because now I even do it myself. After I read that, I'll sit down and relax, and I will say to myself, is this helping to move me forward? And sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes the answer is, I've been going nonstop today, and my body and my brain need to sit down and relax. So yes, me sitting here, laying here and spacing out to Netflix for half an hour is helping to move me forward, because I need to just shut my brain off and not think about anything. Or me sitting down to do this meditation is what I need right now to recharge, right? But sometimes it's not. Sometimes I'm just procrastinating and I'm not doing it because I'm fearful of the thing that I need to go and do. I'm not sure if I know how to do it. I'm fearful of reaching out to that person, whatever it is. And I will catch myself in that way by saying, is this helping to move me forward? And I think that's a profound question to be asking ourselves too, when we're looking at these micro steps and when we're looking at pivoting. Is the thing I'm doing right now moving me forward? And if it's not, what small thing can I do to move forward?
Yeah, Nicole, I'd love you to hit on the importance of rest, because I love that you hit that, because it is a vital step. If you're pushing, you're going to burn out. And so what does rest do to the body?
So I just want to say too that a lot of the people that come to me, clients that come to me, they're stressed. They have a ton of stress. That's one of the reasons why they're holding on to the weight that they can't let go of, right? Is because the stress in their life. I know Ryan said, like, thinking of big steps gives me anxiety, right? Adding one big thing to my day, but if I can add one small thing to my day, it gives me that win, right? I can celebrate that, anchor it in, and then it makes it easier. I have the capacity slowly to do the next thing. Stress with the body. So when you are in a stress state, your body can't tell the difference between a lion running after you in the wild and you like stress in your life, like traffic. Okay. So your body, it sends all of the blood to your extremities to fight or flight. And so if you're not taking the time to rest and digest, right? If you're not taking time to rest and regenerate your body, you're not giving your body the time to do what it needs to do to take care of your like digesting food. Certain proteins that are only released when you're sleeping. So it's just, rest is so important, and it is being productive. It is a small step. Ryan was like, well, what if I stay up? In the comments, he was like, well, what if I stay up, an extra 15 minutes? Well, I would like to suggest that going to bed 15 minutes earlier is actually more productive than staying up later 15 minutes. Losing sleep, just 1 hour of sleep, can cause, like, when the time changes, people have more heart attacks the next day just from 1 hour of lost sleep. People are in car accidents more after the time change, because it may seem like a small change, 1 hour loss of sleep, but it's actually huge.
Well, I've seen where it's as impactful as 3 beers, and driving under the influence of three beers. And the other thing that it does, I've heard this as well, is that rest repairs the low-level brain damage of being awake. What you're causing when you're awake is you're out there, you are causing stress, and a light amount of stress on the body is healthy for the body. Too much stress isn't. And so the right amount of stress creates a shift and growth and change in your body. And so when you rest, you repair that. And so anytime you're learning something new, you really want to give yourself a chance to have a break so that your brain can go in and re-heal and consolidate that low-level brain damage that you created by being awake.
Yeah, I love that. I was just looking through some of the comments here, so we had a little pause there. But I love that idea, and I love that we're seeing healthcare practitioners now prescribe sleep. When I was recovering from my concussion, my physiotherapist actually prescribed that. And I'm okay. You know how busy I am, right? Single mom with 2 kids. I run multiple businesses. I actually work for the government as well.
As a spy.
Yeah, I'm a spy. I'm a spy.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to tell anybody that. And then I'm part of the league, right? So I'm in physiotherapy, and she looks at me, and I laughed at her. She looks at me and she says, "I need you to sleep for 1 hour every afternoon." And I laughed at her. I said, "Where do you think I'm going to find the time to sleep for 1 hour every day?" I said, "I would love that. I would love to have a nap every day." But she knew what she was talking about, and she worked with me. I mean, we got it down to where it was 20 minutes. And if I didn't actually fall asleep, it was okay if I just rested and didn't think of anything and didn't tax my mind, right? Tax my brain. But the idea was that you've already got a brain injury. You're at the place where you're taxing your brain right now, and it needs that rest to be able to come back and be able to be strong for the rest of the day and allow you to fulfill the tasks that it needs to fulfill for the rest of the day. I also have a friend who had a heart attack, and his family physician, after his heart attack, prescribed rest every afternoon after he ate lunch. After he eats lunch, he lays down and does what he calls a shavasana. That's like a yoga relaxation, right? And he has that rest every afternoon after he eats his lunch, and then he continues his day. And that was prescribed by a physician. And I love that physicians and physiotherapists and those groups of people are starting to see the benefit of that. It's not laziness. Like in my mind, in my perfectionist mind, I thought, well, I'm just being lazy. How brazen could I be to actually lay down and take an hour nap every day, right? Like it reminds me of like laying down, eating the chocolate bonbons. You know what I mean? I had that picture in my head. Like I was that like.
I think lady. The last time I heard bonbons was in the 90s.
I know. but that's what it brings me back to. Yeah. It brings me back to like those old the days, the vision of the women laying there eating their chocolate bonbons, right? Yeah. Like just doing nothing. And it felt lazy to me. And I thought, well, no, I couldn't dare do that, right? But it's being prescribed and it's being taken seriously. And I love that.
Yeah, I was going to say too. So I am obsessed with Elon Musk, but he sleeps for 6 hours every single night. And he has said that when he was doing getting less sleep, he was not as productive. So he found that less sleep equaled being less productive, more sleep being more productive. And 6 hours is what works for him. And it may not be 8 hours for everyone, but find what works for your body and where you're more productive.
Well, here's the other thing that goes with it. When you wake up, you have more energy right when you wake up. And so if you plug in the harder tasks right when you wake up, you're going to get more done. If you try and do a difficult task in the afternoon when you're tired, you're not going to be very effective. So try and schedule your tasks by your energy.
Eat that frog.
Yeah, eat that frog, right? Eat that frog first thing in the morning, and then do the lighter stuff, the lighter lifting throughout the day as you get tired. And then if you reset, again, eat that frog first thing, and then go after the lighter things after.
Absolutely. And I will often in the afternoon, most times if I've dropped off my kids to their dad's house, and it's usually around 3:30 in the afternoon on a weekday, I will often come home and take a small half an hour nap and then get back into my work and just kind of reset in that way from, having so many days of kids here and just reset my brain and then jump back into my tasks. I see the benefit of that now. I think it's great.
I see pivoting, as we talk about that too, is just keeping the energy in motion. So the law of thermodynamics says that energy can't be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. And so when it gets blocked and you have this energy not going anywhere, then it tends to find another route. It'll go somewhere else. And so what you're doing when you pivot is you're keeping that energy moving towards your visions, your goals, instead of allowing that energy to feed back to somebody else's vision or goals in a way. And so by pivoting, by turning your direction to something that serves you rather than hitting a block and stopping, if you ever seen a light that just burns out, it just gets too much energy pushing to one thing, or a breaker on an electrical system, it blows the circuit, right? Because there's no movement in it, and it heats up and it blows the circuit. And so your goal is to get it flowing again by pivoting. If you're stuck, pivot, which means to turn in another direction, try something different, step back and move in another direction if you have to. Sometimes you do have to step back to move forward. And so the goal is to keep the energy going towards yours.
Yeah. And I love that you moved into a space of energy, because all of us often say that the energy that we put out is the energy that we bring back into us, right? And so if we weren't making those pivots, not only are we not focusing the energy on what we want to create, but we're not calling that energy back into what we're creating either. If we stop dead and we stay stagnant, then the energy around us stays stagnant, and the things that we're calling in and the things that we're trying to manifest no longer manifest and no longer come in. But if we're giving that energy out there, we're putting that positive energy out there and that trust, that knowing in the universe, then those things will continue to come to us and will continue to manifest what we've intended to manifest.
I like that. If you think about the circulatory system, it's a closed loop. So it puts out fluid and it brings back fluid, brings back blood. And in our lives, it's the same thing. If you've ever blown up a balloon, you've captured that air. And if you tie it off, it's it. And if you keep blowing, it explodes. And so the beauty of life is that we breathe out into our environment, and then we also breathe in from our environment. And so we're always in this loop. And so when you're putting energy out there, you also want to open your space up to receive. And so that you're not just give, because you'll burn out. And so there's also a level of receiving and taking these small steps, as somebody might come along and say, hey, let me assist you. If you say no to that, then you just shut yourself off to circulation and that energy flow, that energy exchange. You just shut off their ability to give.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a proponent of just even little small things. If I am walking up to a building and a gentleman offers to open the door for me, I accept that. And if I say no, thank you, or if I don't allow them to open the door or allow me to walk through first, then I'm cutting off the receiving of anything. I'm cutting off the receiving energy. So if someone wants to open a door for me, I allow that. If someone wants to buy me a tea, I allow that. And I'm still in service to others. I'm still doing those things for others, but I'm also allowing those things in and being in receipt of those things. And I can remember times in my life where I would do that. I'd feel bad. I'd have the kids with me and I'll be like, no, it's okay. You go first, right? Because I know I'm going to take a long time to get through the door or whatever. And I no longer do that. I accept it. I accept they see that I have kids with me. They see how slow we are, whatever it is. I accept that and I graciously thank people for it.
And then I go add things to it. So give me a minute. It's going to be 30 minutes. So hold that door. I'll be right there. Yeah. No, I'm just messing. Yeah, it is a give and take, and being able to keep energy moving, that's a big thing. Your goal is to get energy moving towards your dream or to support others and keeping energy flowing towards their dreams. But it's energy. It's movement of activity, which creates momentum, and that momentum creates mass, and that mass creates change. And so everything in our lives is a movement of energy that created mass, that created change, and we're all beneficiaries of that.
Yeah. And keep people around you that are supportive of those micro steps, are supportive of pivoting, are able to help you figure out how to pivot, because sometimes we don't know how to pivot. Sometimes we're stuck and we're not sure how to. So keep people around you that are supportive of that and are in that supportive energy and in that positive energy as well, because that can also be a block. Someone with negative energy who's putting down what you're doing is creating that block for you as well, that energy block for you.
Yeah.
So you'll pick that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that saying? We're the sum of the 5 closest people around us. I think that's to sort of how it goes. And so you really want to make sure that those closest people around you are in that energy where you want to be. If you want to be successful, you surround yourself with successful people, right? So keep those positive people, mentors, whatever they are, spouses, whoever they are, keep them positive around you. And I always go back to children. I love to go back to the families and really include families. And I go back to that. Teach your children how to be in that positive energy as well, and to be those positive people. Teach your children how to take micro steps. Teach your children what pivoting looks like. Teach them by doing. Do it so that they see it, and doing and explaining. And I really emphasize the explaining part, because children will question, right? And I think we all like to question, but children at that age will question why they're doing something. Oh, I don't want to do this. Why do I have to do this? But they have the capacity to understand why we do things, and they have the capacity to learn those things as well. And that keeps your energy. When you teach your children that keeps the energy around you in that positive state as well.
I can imagine an eagle having this conversation with its babies. Look, I'm doing this because I love you, as it shoves it out of the nest, right? Like, I'm teaching you to fly. But the key component to that is that the eagle lets go. So it might teach and share and push, but then it lets go to allow the child to do what it can do and to make its own choices. And so there's a level of teaching and letting go that occurs too. And that goes with our steps. If you can let go of the attachment to the outcome, you're more likely to step. If you're so attached to how it turns out and it doesn't go the way you want, you're going to give up. You're going to give up on life. You're going to give up on your dreams because it didn't go the way you wanted. And so detach, let go.
Absolutely. You need to be open to everything you're trying to create coming in, however it's going to come in. It's and I've experienced that so many times. And one of my most profound teachers said to me, caught me on it and said to me, why does it have to come from there? Why are you so stuck on it coming from there? Isn't it possible that it could come from anywhere? It could come from this, it could come from that. And as soon as I opened my mind to the possibilities of it coming from anywhere, it opened up a million doors. It opened up all of the possibilities.
Yeah. Wow. Really cool. I just had a visual of that, of energy is all around you. It's all available to you. Mm-hmm. So if you limit the energy has to come in through one particular source, then you probably will get it through that source. But you also cut off all of the possibilities that are around you. There was an antenna that was created off of fractals just recently that can pick up almost every signal of every type. And it didn't exist before this guy created it, maybe 20 years ago. Now it's used in every cell phone. Prior to that, they had one antenna that would pick up one signal and another that would pick up another signal. And they were limited based on the shape of the antenna. And that's what we do in our lives, is we limit what we receive based on what we want to see. And so when you open up to the possibilities, just like that antenna, the new antenna, then you're able to receive it from wherever it comes from. You leave that open, but you create the vision of what you're trying to create. You know, I want this thing. I want this outcome. How it gets to me, I don't know. I'm just going to act on whatever comes, every possibility.
Yeah, and it changes the type of energy that comes to you. I'm going to share this story quick before we have to sign off. My license plate says Namaste 1. And I got that license plate 5 years ago. I'm going to reveal my age. I'm an old lady. I got it for my 40th birthday. So I've had that license plate for 5 years, and I've never had anyone stop me. I've never had anyone honk at me. I've never had anyone say anything about the license plate. And I got it just as I had started my children's yoga business. And so I was really excited about it. And in the past week, I've had 2 people stop me actually driving. I was driving along this long stretch of road, and this lady was behind me, and she kept honking at me. And I couldn't figure out why I would look in the rearview mirror, and she was putting her hands up, and I thought she was praying. And I thought, why? I don't understand. Is she praying to God because I'm going too slow? What's going on? She's honking at me and she's putting her hands up like this. And we finally get up to the same stoplight, and she pulls up beside me and she honks her horn and she puts her hands up and she looks at me and she shouts, Namaste. And so for all of our listeners out there, if you don't know what that means, loosely, it means the light in me sees the light in you. So the good in me sees all of the good in you. And I've had that on my license plate for 5 years. Nobody's ever stopped me. And she said she was trying to get my attention that entire stretch of road to be able to say Namaste to me. And it happened again. That was earlier in the week. And it happened again last night. My kids and I were driving home for an event. It was about 9:00 at night, so it was dark. And these 2 teenage boys, like late teens, early 20s, they came up beside us. Their music was blaring. They rolled down the window. And they both stopped and honked, and they both put their hands up and said Namaste. And they were so young that my son was like, were they making fun, Mommy? And I said, no, they actually meant it. They really meant it. They both put their hands up and said Namaste. That music was blaring, everything. And, you know, it was just really cool for that energy to be coming back in. And I'm no word of a lie, 5 years I've had that license plate. Nobody's ever stopped me. And twice in 1 week.
That's awesome.
It's incredible to see. Yeah. So when you put that energy out there, that positivity starts coming back at you in that way.
Yeah. It's perfect.
All right. I'm just going to say hi to Rachel. She's here as well.
Hi, Rachel.
She says, I love creating new antennas. And one of our listeners is saying, thank you for all the discussions and stories. Looking forward to micromoving, pivoting, and giving and receiving every day. All right, friends. On that note, we are going to sign off here. I'm going to play. We'll stay on social media for a bit, but I'm just going to play our little outro here on the radio. Please do join us next week for next week's episode. We're going to be talking about the universe, and the topic is actually surprise. Does the universe actually want you to succeed? Think about that. Does the universe want you to succeed? So please join us next week, and we will wish you all good day.
Bye, guys.
All right, so we're still on social media here. We're just playing
That's
our
awesome.
outro on Access Radio. Rachel says we have another Facebook user. I can't see who that is from where I'm looking, but they said namaste, and thank you very much
cool.
to you. Namaste. Mancheri says thank you so much for this show. It's really awesome.
All I could think is my mind is, are you going to go? Namaste right here.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Namaste. I see lots of coffee mugs and that kind of stuff. Namaste in bed. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Namaste in bed. Yeah.
I like it.
I've seen that lots.
That was a great topic. That was good.
Yeah, that is a good one. We just have a couple more seconds here on our outro, and then we'll say goodbye to all of our social media friends.
Perfect. I wonder if there are any other comments that people want to share on social media. Any other thoughts?
Please do share your last thoughts. We've just signed off of the radio station there. Rachel says she's staying with the giant tribe.
Yeah, I love it. Namaste. Namaste with the giant tribe.
Yeah, namaste with the giants.
Yeah.
And any of our viewers, if you're not part of a tribe of giants, come join us. We need you. We're impacting 100 million lives, and we need all the help we can get. So come join a tribe of giants if you haven't already.
Yeah, absolutely. And subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel to see all new content. When you subscribe, it gives you a little dingle every time there's new content that goes live. Has anyone gotten the dingle?
No, I've never gotten the dingle.
Really? Oh my goodness. Yeah, it gives you.
That's a fun word to say.
I know, the dingle. Seriously, my children, I think it's so funny. They go to their phones after they haven't been there for like 10 whole minutes, and it's like, oh, there's a new YouTube video, like from whoever they've subscribed to, and they're all excited that there's a new video. So please go to the Giants and the Smalls YouTube channel, and then you could be as excited as our children are when there's a new Wake Up with Giants video.
Perfect.
All right, friends, we are going to sign off. Don't forget to come and join us next week for both Wake Up with Giants TV and Wake Up with Giants Radio. Make it a giant week, my friends.